Hey guys, this is Pablo with the Midnight Oil Bookstore coming at you with another book review. Today we have book one of the Stormlight Archive, The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So this was kind of, I feel like we go through lulls where we stop reading and then we get back into reading, and this was the book that did it for me. I kind of went for a few years where I was just kind of scattered what I was, consuming. And then I got turned into this behemoth of a book. This is actually book one of a 4-part series, which is also part of the Cosmere. So if you're familiar with Brandon Sanderson, a lot of his books and his trilogies, they'll kind of connect. And as he progresses in his writing of them, the characters start to kind of jump back and forth. So let's dive into this. I'll probably be giving some spoilers, or at least giving some information throughout the book. So if you haven't read it, I'll try not to say too much, but it gets good. It gets good. So the premise of The Way of Kings is essentially, what does it mean to be an honorable, at least this is my take on it, what does it mean to be an honorable human being? And the way I like to explain it is there's a drawing, kind of a meme that circulates where there's a six that's written on the ground. And from my perspective, I see a 6, but from someone else's perspective on the other side, they see a 9, right? So it's, neither of us is wrong. It's just kind of a different perspective. And that's kind of what happens in this book. You have these different cultures that are kind of chasing the same thing for their own people, essentially. And it creates this war over these, they're called gem hearts, this form of energy, essentially. And it goes back ages. It's a conflict that kind of keeps repeating itself. But as you get to learn about the characters, you get to learn about these warring peoples and tribes, essentially, you start to relate to each one of them, both the bad guys and the good guys. And it kind of brings up the concept of, what does it mean to be good? Is there a right and wrong, or is it simply different for each perspective? So the book starts off with Kaladin. So Kaladin is this prisoner. He's was a traitor, essentially. You get context as you read. And he's being shipped off to the Shattered Plains. The Shattered Plains is this kind of battle zone, this battleground, where you have these two different cultures that are trying to defeat these monsters. And whenever they defeat the monster, if they're the first one to get there, they get to harvest the gem heart. And the gem heart is the source of energy as well, or like this kind of light, I should say, and like a monetary source. So by defeating the enemy, harvesting the gem heart, they can take it back to their camp, divvy it up, and this allows them to kind of purchase and kind of keep the cycle going. And this is kind of where the war zone is, this Shattered Plains. So Kaladin's going there. Meanwhile, you have another character, another protagonist. Her name's Shallan. So she is a scholar who's kind of traveling the world trying to pursue this scholarship, this apprenticeship, there we go, apprenticeship with another character, Jasnah. So she's trying to follow Jasnah. Jasnah is kind of integral to the part of this war in the Shattered Plains, as her uncle, Dalinar, is kind of the one spearheading this entire war campaign. So throughout this book, you're kind of journeying alongside both of them, while you're also learning the magic system, the way the characters interact and what they're doing, what they're pursuing, and then they kind of all culminate and meet on these Shattered Plains. So the thing that I like about this book is in the prologue, and this is kind of where you get hooked. You have this immediate battle scene. There's this big celebration, and you have this assassin in white who, and he does a wonderful job of explaining the magic system. So you have this assassin that's running on walls, he's running on the ceilings, objects are flying everywhere, and as you're kind of going through this, you learn how exactly he's able to do this. Simultaneously, you kind of learn the beginning part of the different cultures that are kind of warring, and kind of this is where it starts in this prologue. So that got me hooked from the get-go, and you kind of start progressing with the characters, learning more about this as it continues. Now, this book is currently, I think, one of the highest rated or most rated books, if not series, of all time. I'm going to give this an 8.9. So that currently, I think, is my highest rating. I know we're new to this, but this is actually the book that gets a better rating is actually book 2 of this, which is Words of Radiance. So I know this is a behemoth of a book. I know it's super thick. If you're not into fantasy and you want to kind of dabble into it, this is kind of a good learning book that'll kind of hook you in from the get-go, which I appreciate. And it eases you into the magic, so you're not full-blown fantasy right away. You grow with the characters, you grow with the story. There's also a lighter book called Mistborn, which is part of the Cosmere as well. So, and I guess this is a review. We have time to talk, right? So just for additional added context, Brandon Sanderson created the Cosmere, which is 16 elements of humanity, essentially 16 different premises of which he starts world building. So this is going to be honor and odium. Mistborn is going to be ruin and preservation. So kind of in the similar context to this, if you jump into Mistborn, can you create something without destroying? That's what his character is going through in that space. And then as you read through that book and that series, and you read through this series, they all start really connecting together. So book 5 is coming out in December. We have pre-orders open on our website, booksatmidnight.com. You can also come and pre-order with us here. If you pre-order, you get 10% off, so it's kind of cool, and we'll have it here, the release date. But outside of that, that is the Way of Kings in a simplified nutshell. So we sell this all the time. I've geeked out on this many times. I think I've read this like 3 times at this point, maybe 4. So if you ever want to talk about it, if you have any questions, swing by the store, leave a comment, let us know if you've read it, what would you rate this? And yeah, life before death. Thanks, guys. See you soon.